Welcome guys to the Meet Damien channel. I am Damien, and today's live stream we're gonna start off with Pudgy Penguins. Okay, actually had a pretty good solid day. We're gonna be talking about the altcoins today. We can always talk about Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies that are involved with Bitcoin later on in the stream, but I wanted to start off with Pudgy Penguins and just start off on a good note with a cryptocurrency that's actually doing some things here. So why not? So we're looking at Pudgy Penguins. Hopefully you guys can hear me pretty well. Let me just do a quick volume check, make sure that you guys are actually hearing me. Alright, and just let me know if the music is a little bit too loud here. But yeah, let's get started here. So Pudgy Penguins currently trading at about a little bit less than a penny and a half. It's 0.014 pennies right now. And Pudgy Penguins was in a, what we would call a falling wedge pattern here, okay? Which is a pattern that usually breaks out to the upside, and we saw that breakout yesterday. We saw the breakout. Pudgy Penguin went up 29% on Saturday, June 28th here, yesterday. And the day before that, it actually had another good day on Friday, where it was up about 16, almost 17% here on Friday, trading at 0.009 pennies. This is good to see. Pudgy Penguins is a meme coin, and this just lets us know that the meme coin investors are still here. They haven't left, and this is a good sign that altcoin season, if there is going to be one, this would be the beginnings of an altcoin season, or just the beginnings of maybe like a meme coin season. I'm not sure if it's going to end up being an altcoin season, but it shows that the risk appetite for investors is still out there. People want to get involved in crypto again and in meme coins. But let's just show you guys here what I see on the chart pattern for Pudgy Penguins. We had lower highs, obviously, that I'm connecting the dots here. You got the high here and the lower high, and you were in a downtrend on Pudgy Penguins here. And then if I just connect the lows here, okay, it was looking something like this, okay, which is a falling wedge for those who do chart analysis and know chart patterns here. You have a falling wedge, and falling wedges, they usually break out to the upside, and you can see that has obviously played out here with Pudgy Penguins. And I guess the next thing we want to know is how high could Pudgy Penguins go if it continues this uptrend out of the falling wedge that it was in. There's a couple of ways you can analyze this. You could treat this as one big bull flag, right? And you can just measure the move, right, from the impulse back here in early May to the high here, and you got like yourself like kind of like a flagpole, and this would be the flag. And then you can just take this. This is basically what we call trend analysis, and if it continues the trend like it was doing before, you put this measured move right where the breakout is occurring on the falling wedge, and it gives you a rough idea as like how high this thing could possibly go. You got that blue number there. Let me just turn the volume down on my end here. You got this blue number right here at 0.022 pennies. It says that Pudgy Penguins could get up to like 0.022 pennies according to the trend analysis here. And that's about, I believe, like another 50% move from where we are right now. So let's just measure that out from where we're currently at to, the top of this measured move here. Yeah, you got yourself pretty much like a 60% potential gain in Pudgy Penguins if this, if this bull flag actually plays out to the upside here. And I guess you wouldn't really want to call it a flag. It's more like a bullish pennant, okay? But still, same idea. Yeah, the chart pattern saying that, this thing could get up to like 0.022 pennies, and it would just be normal, okay? But let's do another thing that we can use to analyze this to figure out how high it could go. That's just using trend analysis. Let's go ahead and actually use some Fibonacci analysis. We'll do the Fibonacci retracement to kind of get an idea as like where the fib extension levels might be on this asset here. Okay, and just look at the Fibonacci levels for Pudgy Penguins. you can see that we actually already, we're on our way to the 0.786 retracement. That says that this thing should get up to like 0.01465 pennies, and it might actually kind of like go sideways maybe, or get rejected. So I am eyeballing this level. Like, we're close to that level where we might get a rejection. I'm not sure if this thing has the momentum to continue going to higher prices. So it wouldn't be surprising if we actually get up to this blue number here and get rejected, and maybe come down to this orange golden pocket here, where we might see 0.012 pennies, 0.0128 pennies for Pudgy Penguins. But if Pudgy Penguin is going to continue the bullish momentum and actually go to higher prices, then we're looking at the 1618 that says this thing should get up to like 2.5 pennies, okay? Which is close to this measure move that we said that we could possibly see 0.022 pennies. And now this is saying that we could see 0.025 pennies. So I think those are reasonable price targets if you're going to be bullish here on Pudgy Penguins. Let's see, I got a few people in the live stream on my YouTube, and I'm also doing a TikTok live stream here. I appreciate you guys coming in. I see Mar has joined. Mar, we're actually looking at Pudgy Penguin right now. We're looking at Pengu right now. So you came at just the right time here. I noticed that Pudgy Penguins went up yesterday, and the day before that it had like a 20% gainer, and then on Friday it was up like 17%. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Pudgy Penguins, but that's the first altcoin we're talking about today is Pudgy Penguins, because it had such a good day. I think Pudgy Penguins it should be related to the Solana ecosystem, so we'll take a look at Solana after this and see how that's affecting the Solana price. But yeah, Pudgy Penguins, upside target, right? About 2.5 pennies. Also, the measured move from the bull flag is saying about 0.002 pennies. And downside target, if this thing does come down for whatever reason and loses its momentum, I would expect it to at least come back to this golden pocket number at 0.0123 pennies. It would be, also, no, I just messed up. Let me go ahead and fix that. I would be surprised if we did a deeper retracement and actually came down to like the 0.382, just under a penny. But if it does, that could be just a higher low before this thing continues going to higher highs and higher prices here. Okay, so that's Pudgy Penguins, and my analysis there on Pudgy Penguins. If this thing continues being bullish, you could see another 60% gain, where this thing could get up to 2.5 pennies here. All right, let's take a look at Solana. See how Solana's doing, because I think Solana benefits from people buying Pudgy Penguins, because I think Pudgy Penguins was built off of the Solana ecosystem. I could be wrong about that. Don't get mad at me if I'm wrong. It wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong, but Solana should be, I believe, a benefactor to Pudgy Penguins catching some bids here. And let's look at Solana now. So we're looking at the price of Solana currently at $150. Let me go ahead and get that price level back up there yet. $150.90 for Solana. Solana has been in a downtrend. You can see that we're in a descending channel here on Solana. And I said on my last live stream, yesterday afternoon, that if Solana is gonna actually continue being bullish, then it needs to get out of this downtrend that it's in. And I think today would be the day, because we're on the cusp of either we're gonna get rejected and come right back down to lower prices here on Solana, or Solana is gonna actually get out of this descending channel here and start making possibly the first higher high that it has made since May of May 23rd here. Okay, so Solana right now making lower highs and lower lows. That's not what we want to see for Solana if we're going to continue being bullish here. But Solana could be on the edge of actually getting out of this downtrend and catching some bids here. Now, if Solana actually catches some bids here, let me go ahead and do the Fibonacci analysis and see where Solana could possibly go. We'll measure from the high here at $187 down to the low in April, just to get an idea. I think Solana was at like 95 bucks back in April. Yeah, it got down to that level. So looking at the fib levels here for Solana, we're approaching the golden pocket of about $152, $155. I think that could cause Solana to like maybe go sideways or possibly get rejected and maybe retest the 0.5 level here at 140 bucks all over again. If Solana actually is overly bullish, though, it will probably make its way up to about the 786 retracement at $167. And if it does that, I believe that's also where the moving averages are at. Yeah, this 200-day moving average, the red line here, sitting at $167. It's confluent with the 0.786 retracement. So I'm expecting Solana, if it does continue being bullish, to get maybe like a rejection, maybe at best go sideways once it hits $167. So if you're day trading or swing trading Solana and you're looking for your first take profit target, I would probably eyeball $167, because whether you're a trader that uses moving averages like the 200-day, or if you're a Fibonacci trader that's using the Fibonacci analysis here, both of those traders are looking at $167 and they're putting in their sell orders. That's most likely where people are gonna sell their Solana, if they're a Fibonacci trader or a moving average trader, or if you're like me and you use both. You know, you can see the confluence there, and you're saying to yourself, yeah, I'm gonna go sell Solana when it gets to $167. And then when it gets to $167, we'll just see how it reacts. You know, hopefully it trades sideways and uses the 200-day moving average as support rather than resistance, and then we can continue being overly bullish. We could continue being more bullish on Solana, and if it does, then, you know, obviously we want to see it get above 187 bucks, which is the high back here in May. But we want to see higher prices for Solana if we're Solana investors, and we want to see maybe Solana get up to the 1618 at $244. That would be my long-term take profit target if I'm going to push the trade to higher prices here around Solana. I think Solana could get to $244, and I know it could get to $244 because we actually saw that price back here in January of 2025. So we know Solana is capable of doing that. We just got to see if it's going to actually do that or not. All right, cool. If you guys have requests, I am doing requests, so let me know what kind of altcoin or cryptocurrency you want me to take a look at. We are doing cryptos because right now cryptocurrencies are the only thing that's trading on a Sunday here. But if you guys want me to take a look at a stock, I can also take a look at your favorite stocks. I know right now one of mine is Palantir. I also like Nvidia as well. But yeah, if you guys want to look at some other assets here, let's take a look at them. And I see we have a request here for Ethereum. Okay, appreciate that request. And then virtual protocol. Okay, let's take a look at those cryptos there. Appreciate the request. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button, especially if I'm going over your favorite crypto here and you're enjoying the analysis on the upside and downside targets on these assets here. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's see. So we're gonna look at Ethereum, and then we'll take a look at virtual. Ethereum. Let me get rid of some of this previous chart work here. You can see Ethereum currently trading at $2,436. Ethereum, we talked about this on the last live stream, which was yesterday. Ethereum has been, and we actually talked about this for a while actually, Ethereum has been trading sideways, mainly because it's treating this red line, this 200-day moving average, as a resistance. Okay, we want to eventually, if we're going to continue being bullish here on Ethereum, we got to get above this red line, get above the 200-day moving average, currently sitting at 2,544 bucks. And you want to flip that from resistance to support. And we're just waiting for we're waiting for Ethereum to actually do that. Okay, right now the price seems to be suppressed because traders are treating this red line as basically the red line. They're saying that when Ethereum gets up to this red line, that they want to start selling. Okay, and when they take the selling a little bit too far, right, when they click that sell button, they actually push the price down. We are getting support off of this green line, the 50-day moving average. So the 50-day moving average is acting as support. Currently sitting at like $2,100. If you see Ethereum get down to like $2,100, I would place a buy limit order at that area. See if you get filled. See if you're lucky enough to get Ethereum at $2,100 or even $2,200 here. And then you can put your stop loss right below this candle wick here. If Ethereum goes below $2,100, you probably don't want to stick around to see how messy and bloody it can get. Because if we lose that $2,100 level, then we're probably going to come right down to where Ethereum was trading at back here in late April. Okay? Where it was trading at about $1,800. Yeah. You probably don't want to stick around for that. That's about a, what? I believe that's like a 33% or 25% haircut from where it is right now. Let's just measure that out real quick here. If Ethereum came down to $1,800, how much of a loss is that going to be for most people here? It's going to be about a 26% loss, okay? So, instead of enduring the pain of losing 26%, you could probably put your stop loss right below this 50-day moving average and right below this candle wick here at $2,100. And if you do that, then you're only risking about 14% on Ethereum. If it does come down, you get stopped out. And if you do get stopped out, then, you could just see how it's handling itself. If it goes down, below $2,100 and then comes right back to $2,100, then you could probably get right back in it again and place your stop loss maybe a little bit lower at $2,000 and just see how it holds. And if we keep losing the momentum on Ethereum and if the price continues hitting your stop loss, then it probably means it wants to go down lower and maybe you can scoop up Ethereum at $1,800. I know there are some people who want to get some cheaper Ethereum. And maybe your wishes might come true. And if it does, obviously we're going to be looking to see how Ethereum holds at $1,800. But let me give you the upside target here for Ethereum. If Ethereum was to continue being bullish here, then let's do a quick Fibonacci analysis here. If Ethereum was to continue being bullish, obviously you want to see it get above the 200-day moving average. And then get up to the 786 retracement at $2,600. That should be first take profit target if you're day trading this asset. And then second take profit target is going to be the candle wick high here on June 11th at $2,878 Ethereum. Okay, if you can actually get above there and actually continue being bullish, then you could probably push the price of Ethereum up to this 1618. We're looking at a long-term target. Maybe this happens later on this summer, maybe later on in 2025. You might see a $3,500 Ethereum for your upside target. And that's a pretty decent gain from where you are right now. I'll just quickly measure that one out, see how much of a percentage gain you would get from where you are right now with Ethereum up to $3,500. You're looking at possibly a 47% gainer on Ethereum if it gets up to 3,500 here. I see Haven Pet is in the chat here. You're saying you're thinking of leaving crypto again, and you got what you got. So you're thinking about taking a break from crypto is basically what you're saying, Haven Pet? That's interesting. I mean, the summertime is usually not really a great time for trading crypto and altcoins. There's usually sideways trading action. Unless there's some big news-driven events here, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a lackluster summer like we did last summer with crypto. But this could be just a good time to to accumulate your positions, learn more about the cryptos that you actually like, to see which ones might do well in the next bull run here. And I wouldn't totally give up on crypto just yet, but it's understandable if you want to take some profits and enjoy your summer. All right. We're going to take a look at virtual protocol. That is the next request here. And if you guys have any more requests, by all means, let me know which altcoin you want me to take a look at next here. Virtuals. Let's see. Virtual protocol. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of this previous chart work here. Let's see what Virtual's doing. Virtual currently trading at $1.54 right now. Up 1.68% today. And what do we got here? What do we got? I got the moving averages here for Virtual Protocol. It looks kind of a little bit messy. Let me go ahead and get rid of the moving averages for now. We're just gonna look at this as like a naked chart without any indicators or lines and moving averages here. And we're just gonna eyeball this chart. So obviously I could already see here that Virtuals is kind of in a downtrend. If I just connect the candlewick highs, I'm not sure if I want to connect the candlewick highs. I actually want to connect just the candle body closes here. I think that gives us a more accurate picture of the downtrend. But yeah, you can see that you know, Virtual Protocol is making lower highs here, and it's also making lower lows. Okay, let me just connect the lows as best as I can here. So you're in kind of like a descending channel with Virtual Protocol. It looks very similar to the descending channel that Solana's in. And you know, if you're gonna continue respecting the descending channel, then you know, I would expect Virtual Protocol probably get rejected near like $1.70, which, you know, we're not too far off from, before it comes down and stays in this descending channel here. And if it stays in this descending channel, then it might even come down to $1.16 right here. Let me just draw this out so you kind of understand what I'm talking about here. You know, we could come up here, get rejected off the descending channel, and come right back down to lower prices here on Virtual Protocol. And we're looking at, you know, if it does continue staying in this descending channel, we're looking at like maybe $1.10 on Virtual Protocol if it continues this lackluster performance of being inside this descending channel here. So that's interesting. But I also see here that it looks like there's some candlewick bottoms. Looks like $1.27 was the low water mark here on May 7th for Virtual. And then down here on June 22nd, we came down to $1.26. So I guess you can just game plan, you know, we need to stay above $1.26 here, okay? If we're not able to stay above $1.26, $1.27, then there might be something wrong with Virtual Protocol, and you know, you might not want to stick around for that. I would put my stop loss probably at $1.25, $1.26, somewhere in that area. And if it does hit that stop loss, there might be more pain to come here for Virtual Protocol. So let's see what the downside targets could possibly be with the Fibonacci analysis here. I think I measured those levels. So it looks like, yeah, so I can see some confluence here at the 0.382 level. $1.33 should hold for the most part, or you could possibly come down to $1.04. You know, maybe that's where Virtual Protocol needs to go down to in order to generate enough demand to actually send this asset to higher prices. But it looks like $1.04 could still be in play here. Just giving you guys some ideas here as like how low this thing could possibly go. I would like to see it not go any lower, okay, if we're going to continue being bullish, because coming down to this deep retracement is going to cause a lot of discouraged investors out there. People might not want to see Virtual actually go that low. Let me go ahead and turn the moving averages on and back again, see what that looks like. Yeah, so the moving averages, there is some confluence here with the 100-day moving average, this blue line. I know I got a lot of stuff going on here, but that's how you get the confluence, right? It looks like $1.26 is a very important level to be holding, okay? And also here at $1.38, which is right where that 0.382 level is at, and the 50-day moving average. I would expect people to start putting in their buy orders anywhere between $1.26 and $1.33 to scoop up some relatively cheap Virtual Protocol. And if Virtual Protocol continues being bullish, I would expect maybe a rejection off the 200-day moving average, which is currently sitting at $1.70. And I would also expect it to have a little bit of trouble getting past the golden pocket at $1.81. But if it continues being bullish, then yeah, we could see, you know, a $2 Virtual Protocol where we got the 786 retracement sitting at. And then we have to see how it's going to handle itself when it gets up to like $2.58 all over again. So those are your take profit targets on Virtual Protocol. $2.15 and $2.58 should be your first take profit and your second take profit if you're swing trading this. And if you're in it for the long haul here on Virtual Protocol, there is a 1618 that says this thing could get up to $3.83, and it wouldn't be a surprise to anybody. All right, let's see what is Haven saying here in the chat. You sold all your AI agents except for a little amount so that you can track them in your favorite wallet, but it's completely horrendous. What's happened with the AI agents? They don't even work now. Wow, that's interesting. You're saying that these AI agents, AI agent coins, are not actually doing what they're supposed to be doing? That's alarming news, and if that's the case. If you could elaborate, I'm a little bit curious, because I know Virtual Protocol built itself around the AI agent ecosystem, and if that's what's going on, if they're having problems with AI agents, then that's not going to be helpful for the Virtual Protocol ecosystem, and not going to be helpful for, you know, higher prices on Virtual Protocol if that's the case. So yeah, I would like to know if you know anything more about that, to be honest, because I'm actually an investor in Virtual Protocol. I want to see higher prices for this coin as well, but if this thing is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, then that's very alarming. Appreciate the follow. Thanks for hitting the follow. I don't know what your username is, but it starts with a king. G Money's asking about Ethereum. G Money, we actually already looked at Ethereum. The previous coin we looked at Ethereum right before Virtual Protocol here. I can quickly give you the summary analysis here. I don't want to have to repeat myself, but let's take a look at the Ethereum real quick here. Oh wow, I actually don't have chart work here, but let's look at, I think I looked at Ethereum on Binance here. I got previous chart work. So downside target on Ethereum, you know, Ethereum has been respecting the $2,100 level, which is where the 50-day moving average is sitting at. That's your downside target. You could probably get some cheap Ethereum at $2,100 or $2,200 Ethereum. If Ethereum loses $2,000 for some reason, then it's most likely going to probably get support at $1,800. That could be where you can get some more cheaper Ethereum if you're still bullish on this asset. But the upside target for Ethereum, if it does get past the 200-day moving average at $2,500, we could see $2,800 all over again, but we could also see possibly $3,500 Ethereum is a long-term price target that could possibly come into play later on in 2025 here. That's my summary analysis on Ethereum. And now I have Tanti asking me about Fetch AI. I believe you want me to take a look at Fetch AI. Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at Fetch AI. I appreciate the requests. All right, let me just get a swig of water here. So we're looking at Fetch, currently trading at 68 cents. This is a cryptocurrency that's related to artificial intelligence. So this thing was pretty, had a lot of things going for it in the end of 2024. And you can see that this thing has been at higher prices. Let me just get rid of the moving averages for now. This thing has been at higher prices, but look at this. Like, it's just making lower highs. Like, the best, it's seen its best days here in the beginning of 2024. Around March of 2024, this thing was as high as like $3.48. But you're just making lower highs and lower lows, and you're not getting up to higher prices here. And, I mean, what can you do with this, right? Maybe it bottomed out here in April, like most of the assets, okay? But you got to start making higher highs, and of course making higher lows in order for you to be in an uptrend in order for you to actually be bullish on this asset. Now, if I turn on the moving averages, let's see what the moving averages are at. If this thing was to continue being bullish, you got to get above that 200-day moving average sitting at 84 cents, that red line right there. Get above 84 cents, and then we can start being more bullish on this asset, okay? At least looking at the daily time frame here. But then I want to see this thing actually get above, you know, this candle wick high at 99 cents, okay? You can see that this thing is respecting the TA. The technical analysis, the 200-day moving average, has acted as resistance back here in May 23rd. We got rejected off of that red line. So, you know, if this thing does come back up, I'm expecting possibly another rejection at the red line at 84 cents, okay? And maybe this thing just has to trade sideways at 84 cents and then eventually get above the 200-day moving average. And then you can start to become more bullish on this asset. But yeah, this thing has some work and some proving to do. Okay, get above that 200-day moving average, and I'll be more bullish on Fetch AI. But I'll give you some upside targets here. Okay, using Fibonacci. If you can get above, look at this, the 786 retracement at 86 cents, which would also put you above the 200-day moving average, then yeah, possibly, you know, let's see how it handles itself at $1. And then once you get above $1, which is going to be like a psychological level for a lot of investors out there, then you could see $1.40 on Fetch AI, which is the 1618 retracement. I'm sorry, 1618 fib extension level here. For some reason, $1.40 is probably going to be a good price to probably get out of Fetch AI, which kind of makes sense because if you're in Fetch AI right now at 67 cents, if this thing gets up to $1.40, you basically doubled your money, and you should be taking some profits off the table, in my opinion. If you double anything, any asset, stock, cryptocurrency, you know, if you're into gold, if you buy gold coins and the price doubles, you should sell something just to, you know, that's how you make money, right? Is you double your money, you take your profits. But just zooming out here, $1.40 kind of like, it's in confluence with where Fetch AI was trading at back here in December of 2024. So the people who bought Fetch AI in December of 2024, if they see $1.40, they're basically back at break even again. They're probably going to click that sell button as well. So I would probably be ready to click the sell button on Fetch AI when it gets to $1.40. You got the Fibonacci analysis saying that you should click the sell button at $1.40, and then just looking at previous, you know, chart, you know, price chart action here. You got people here in November and December of 2024 that want to get out and break even at $1.40. All right, let's see what Haven's saying here. You said that virtual protocol, the agents are simply LLM wrappers, not truly autonomous. They only perform significant actions if developers build specialized tools and manually intervene. Yeah, I've heard about that, that some of these coins aren't really what they advertise themselves to be. And that's disappointing to hear. That's not gonna get people excited if they're just, you know, you know, large language models wrapped up into a fancy cryptocurrency. That's a little bit deceiving, in my opinion, Haven. But yeah, I've heard about that, and I was a little bit concerned when I saw that myself. But I appreciate you bringing the news about those AI agents not really being what they're advertising themselves to be here. G Money wants us to look at QNT. Okay, all right. And let me see. Did I miss any other requests here? Appreciate the request, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, especially if I'm looking at your cryptocurrency and you're enjoying the analysis here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Let's see if we can get the likes to match the amount of people that are in the live stream. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And guys, if you are new to the Meet Damien channel, don't forget to hit that follow button. If you're a TikTok guy, and if you're here on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can see each other again and look at the charts together. All right, let's take a look at QNT. Yeah, let's take a look at Q&T on Crack and let's see how it's doing on there. Okay. Q&T currently trading at $109.17. I got a naked chart here, no indicators yet. Just eyeballing this chart, getting a bird's eye view of it. And yeah, you know, Q&T, just like a lot of other altcoins and cryptos, it's seen its best days back in December 2024 when we had like a little bit of a mini altcoin season going on here. And then after that, it just hasn't been able to, you know, get back to those levels here. We've been making lower highs and lower lows. Looks like this thing bottomed out here in April, like most other assets and most other cryptos. And now you're just trying to prove to everybody around the world here that you can actually get back to higher prices here. Looks like Q&T is kind of trading at the same price that it was at back in January of 2025. So that's a little bit good to see. That's showing a little bit of promise here. Let's see if Q&T can get above. Let's see, like right over here, the candlewick highs. Looks like $128 is a level that might show some rejection for Q&T if it does get up to that price. Only because you got a candlewick high here back in June 11th at $127. The $127 level here, and then also back here in January, we saw about $129. Okay, so I'm expecting maybe whoever bought Q&T back in January at $129, they're probably going to want to click the sell button and get out of it, just to break even again. And this is just eyeballing the chart here without looking at any of the moving averages. Let's go ahead and turn the moving averages on now. See what it's looking like with that. So currently Q&T is above the moving averages, most of the moving averages here. I like the fact that it's above this red line, the 200-day moving average. Some of these altcoins and some of these cryptos, they're not even able to get above their 200-day moving average. So Q&T is actually doing that right now. So that's actually kudos to Q&T to actually be able to do that. I know like Solana and like Ethereum, they're having trouble getting above their 200-day moving average, but it seems like this cryptocurrency has already done it. So maybe there might be some more potential for this thing to go to higher prices. You can actually just start to be bullish on Q&T just because it's above its 200-day moving average. So that's really good to see in my opinion here. What you can do as a trader now is if this thing does come back to the 200-day moving average sitting at like $95, you can use that as a support area, a support zone. You could actually put your buy limit orders and see if you can get some cheaper Q&T at that level, roughly below $100 here. And then you can put your stop loss right above the 200, right below the 200-day moving average, maybe even below some of these other moving averages here at like $86. And if this thing is bullish, it should never go below the 200-day moving average again, right? And that's how I would try to stay in the trade while also keeping my losses small here on Q&T. But yeah, upside target, I would say $128. Let's see, what else can we gather from here? Would be nice if Q&T could get back to where it was trading at here in December at about $140. I think that should be your second take profit target. That's about a 30 or 40% move from where you are right now. I think there's going to be some people who bought here in December who are going to want to click the sell button and just break even, right? Let me just zoom out some more here, and I'm going to turn on the VRVP, see if the VRVP agrees with any of this analysis. And the VRVP, right, is this green and red bars here to the right. Shows you how much volume, how many buys and sells. The green is how many people that bought at that price. The red is how many people sold at that price. And the biggest price level to be paying attention to is this blue line, the POC, at $98. The majority of people that bought Q&T bought it at $98. So right now they're actually a little bit above break even. That should be a support zone for Q&T. But if QNT actually continues being bullish here, then yeah, look, you got the value area high, this white line, at about $128. So $120 should be a take profit target on QNT. If the price pushes up higher above $120, then you have a little bit of a high volume here at 140 bucks. And I've already said that, you know, people back here in December, they're probably going to click the sell button just to break even at 140 bucks. And then you got a little bit of high volume here at 160 bucks. Yeah, I just don't know if QNT can go any higher than that. I think 140, 160 bucks should be a decent price target to get out of this asset with some profits here. All right, Jordan's asking me about Polyswarm NCT. Appreciate the request. And let's see. And then we have a request for B-Chain. Okay. And then RSR. I'm going to have to write these things down. Yeah. Oh, give me a second here, guys. So I got a few requests here. RSR. Looks like that one came up first. Then we'll look at B-Chain. Okay. And then what's the next one here? NCT. I think that's a request as well. All right, appreciate the request. I guess I'll try to do these analysis a little bit quicker. I'm being very thorough. I try to be as thorough as I possibly can, but let's see if we can get through these requests a little bit quicker than what I've done so far. All right, let's look at RSR. Sure, on Binance. Let's see what it looks like on Binance. Excuse me. All right, so we're looking at RSR, currently trading at 0.0068 pennies. RSR has seen better days, like a lot of other cryptos. Here in December 2024, looks like this thing got as high as almost 3 pennies, 0.027 pennies. That's interesting. So this thing has seen better days, obviously. And just using the VRVP, why not? I mean, we got it on the chart right now. The VRVP is showing that you got a high volume node at like 0.0068 pennies, which is kind of like where you're at right now. So get above 0.068 pennies and the volume starts to drop off, and then you got a value area high, this white line sitting at like 0.008 pennies. Could be where this thing wants to go next. That could be a take profit target. And then we are zoomed out here, but the 200-day moving average is currently sitting at 0.091 pennies. That should be another take profit target on this asset. And get above that, and the volume drops off even more. You got a little bit of volume here. Maybe 1 penny might be a psychological target for some people out there. They're going to click the sell button when it gets to 1 penny. But there's really not that much resistance once you get past 1 penny until you get to like 0.013 pennies or 0.014 pennies, about almost like a penny and a half. Get up to like a penny and a half and you basically doubled your investment here on RSR. You should be thinking about clicking the sell button when it does that, because you're going to double your money. And it looks like about a penny and a half is where people were buying this asset back in December and January. So I believe those people are going to click the sell button on you as well, just to break even. Yeah, about a penny and a half should be your long-term take profit target on this asset. Downside target, you are making higher low. Looks like the higher low came in at June 22nd here. We came in at 0.005 pennies. Put your stop loss at 0.005 or 0.0049 to be exact, maybe. Lose that level and there might still be something wrong with RSR. But I think, yeah, you could strategically place your stop loss below this candle wick low here. And if it hits, that probably means you don't want to be in this asset. There might be something wrong with RSR, but that's your downside target. About a half a penny is where I would put the stop loss at. All right, moving on to VeChain. VeChain doing things. All right, let's see. VeChain. VeChain currently trading at 2 pennies right now. This asset is below all its moving averages right now. That's not bullish. You can't be bullish until you get above the 200-day moving average. In my opinion, through my experience, if you get above the 200-day moving average, you can consider yourself bullish. If you're below the 200-day moving average, this red line, then you have to start being bearish on whatever asset is you're looking at that's below the 200-day moving average. So I'm gonna have a bearish bias on this asset until it can prove to me that it can get above the 200-day moving average. And that 200-day moving average is sitting at like 3 pennies right now. So hit the 3 pennies and I'll start being more bullish on VeChain. But yeah, VeChain, just like every other cryptocurrency, had better days back in December when we had that little altcoin season going on there. This thing was trading at almost 8 pennies. Okay, so this thing has done things. Okay, but can it get back up to that level? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just a chart reader. But what I can tell you is that if this thing does climb up to higher prices, I do see people here that got in back in February at like 3 pennies. They're probably going to click the sell button on you. Okay? And then also we know that this 200-day moving average is at 3 pennies. So I think take profit target on this one is going to be 3 pennies. Okay? And then if it does climb up to higher prices, you probably have some people here back in December that bought at like 4 or 5 pennies here. They're going to click the sell button as well just to break even. So I would probably start selling this thing when it gets to like 4 to 5 pennies. Okay? In this area, right, let me just get rid of the moving averages. In this area, people that bought VeChain and are not convinced that it can go to higher prices, they're going to click the sell button when it gets to 4.5 pennies here. Okay? So, VeChain. Upside target should be 3 pennies and 4.5 pennies. Downside, if this thing is not able to respect the lows that it made here, back here on Sunday, June 22nd here, we saw VeChain at 0.018 pennies, and we also seen it at 0.017 pennies on April 7th here. You put your stop loss right below those candle wicks. If VeChain cannot actually stay above that level at like 0.017 pennies here, then there might be something wrong with VeChain, and you probably don't want to stick around to find out. And I would just plan on getting stopped out at that level there. Okay, but you can strategically place a stop loss below this candle wick and just hope that it never hits, and then you might be seeing upside for VeChain in the future. And like I said, 3 pennies, good take profit target. 4 pennies, even better take profit target. All right, let's take a look at NCT. All right, let's see. TikTok. All right. Yep, I'm still here, TikTok. All right, excuse me. Polyswarm. Currently trading at 0.017 pennies, almost a little bit under 2 pennies here. Wow, this chart kind of looks similar to VeChain, somewhat. Obviously, this thing has seen better days. And we had that little altcoin season in December. It's like almost the same story with a lot of these coins here. They almost look like the same chart, to be honest. But wow, a lot of excitement back here in January of 2025, but this thing got as high as like 10 pennies here. You took a 90% hit on this, and you're back to basically where Polyswarm was trading at in November of 2024. But you can see that, you know, back here in November and August, this thing was making higher lows, and higher highs. Are we able to do higher lows and higher highs again here in 2025? Let's see. Looks like here in April, you bottom out, then you started making higher low and higher high. However, looks like the high to beat is May 11th at 0.028 pennies. This thing has been making lower highs since then and kind of making lower lows. That's a little bit discouraging to see. We need to start making higher lows and higher highs again. This is disappointing price action in my opinion. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and do a fib retracement and see what the fib levels are. So you're kind of at the 0.236 retracement here at 0.017 pennies. I don't think this thing could go any lower before you have to start really considering that there's something wrong with Polyswarm here. But I would, if I was to get into this asset, I would plan on putting a stop loss at like 0.016 pennies here, below the candle wick low on June 22nd. You're not really risking too much, but the upside is that possibly this thing could get up to the golden pocket here at 0.023 pennies. Probably your first take profit target. Then second take profit is just a little bit above that at 0.025 pennies, the 786 retracement level here. And then of course you should have probably sell some of your Polyswarm, but if this thing does get up to like 3 pennies, then I would be clicking the sell button. Yeah, because you're almost going to be doubling from where you are right now if it does do that. But if it continues and you want to continue pushing the trade to higher prices, there is a 1618 that says we could see 0.038 pennies, roughly 4 pennies on Polyswarm. And I think if you get to that level, I mean, that's a price level that's above a majority of the price action here in February and the majority of the price action here back in December of 2024. I would not get too greedy. I would probably click the sell button at 4 pennies. And if you do that, you for sure, you doubled your money on Polyswarm. And if you want to stick around and try to push the trade higher, then I mean, I think you are being greedy, but there is a 2618 that says this thing could get up to 5 pennies. All right, let's see. Tanti is asking about Bitcoin here. You're saying Bitcoin would play a massive part. Why they're all down and looking similar? The altcoins have taken a beating. Bitcoin is actually near its all-time highs. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Now that you mention it, we've been talking about a lot about the altcoins here, but yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin currently trading at $107,600 here. It's near its all-time highs. Bitcoin is stealing the show, and that's kind of to be expected. These cryptocurrencies that are not Bitcoin, basically the altcoins, they're not gonna catch any bids until Bitcoin's back at all-time highs. Every time Bitcoin gets in near all-time highs, which is kind of where it's at right now, that's when people start getting excited. The retail investors like me and you, the small investors out there, start buying altcoins every time Bitcoin gets to all-time highs here. But the last all-time high for Bitcoin was here on May 22nd at $112,000. That's where people got a little bit excited, and then we lost that momentum and we created a lower high here. That's a little bit concerning that Bitcoin actually made a lower high here on June 9th. I think if it wasn't for the events that are happening here in the Middle East, we would have seen Bitcoin probably get up to $120,000 level here. But because of like what's going on with the Middle East, that was, you know, that is what caused a little bit of concern in the markets, and that's why Bitcoin made a lower high, and it also made a lower low back here on June 22nd. When the United States got involved, we saw Bitcoin go down to $98,000, okay? But it looks like people have come to the conclusion that the Middle East really doesn't affect Bitcoin, okay? It might affect it just a little bit, but the prices came right back up as soon as we got the ceasefire earlier in the week. However, here's something that I noticed about Bitcoin. Ever since that ceasefire here on Monday, let's see, Bitcoin hasn't really done much since then, right? If I measure from that level to this where we're at right now, Bitcoin's only up 2% since Monday. So that is a head scratcher. For the day traders out there, they're getting chopped up and messed up with this sideways trading action. There's not really much of a trend. We still are going to higher prices. You can see that we have green candles here. But look at this. Like here on Friday, Bitcoin went up 83 bucks. It went up like 0.08%. How are you supposed to day trade that? You would need like 100x leverage and you would only get 8% on your investment if you were able to catch the whole move. That's the kind of craziness that's going on with Bitcoin. It's not really doing much besides going sideways here. And then here on Saturday, we had a very healthy and lofty 0.2% gain on Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up 200 bucks, which would have been great, you know, 10 years ago when Bitcoin was at 200 bucks. If Bitcoin can go from 200 bucks to and then get another 200 bucks, yeah, that would be nice. But with Bitcoin being about $107,000, only going up $200, what are you supposed to do with that, right? Anyways, yeah, Bitcoin trading sideways here at $107,000. I would expect some more resistance when we get up to like $110,000 Bitcoin, because that's where the lower high here is on the daily time frame. You might start getting resistance, and you might start seeing people click the sell button here when Bitcoin gets up to 110 grand. Okay, so Bitcoin has to get past that resistance, and then we'll see how Bitcoin handles itself at $112,000. Okay, but when Bitcoin starts getting up to like 110 grand and 112 grand, and it starts threatening to go to new all-time highs, that's when you're gonna see people, you know, the Johnny-come-lates are going to get excited about crypto again, and they're not going to be buying Bitcoin. They're going to be trying to buy altcoins, and that's when these altcoins that you're in are going to start catching bids again. It's the same thing. It's been like this for like the past year now. People end up buying the tops, and they end up buying the highs when they hear about Bitcoin at $110,000 here. I see Joe, Trade Intuitions in the chat. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Let me know if there's a coin you want me to take a look at. Something other than ZBCN, because I know you always request that one. But we can take a look at another crypto besides ZBCN. Tanti's asking me, have I ever tried scalp trading? Yeah, I actually day trade. I'm in a trade right now on Bitcoin with a little bit of leverage on it, and I put another buy order in if Bitcoin does go lower prices here. So yeah, I'm actually trying to scalp trade Bitcoin right now. D2 Miami, you're asking for a root. Appreciate the requests. And Joe, I made Joe laugh over here. Okay, all right. Let's see, did I miss any other requests here? Polygon potential. Mark, are you talking about Polyswarm? I think we actually looked at Polyswarm already. But is that another crypto you want me to look at? I don't know. You tell me. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at Root right now. Oh, let me just finish up. I have done previous analysis on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does continue being bullish and gets past 112 grand, then I do have a 1618 that says we could see $135,000 Bitcoin. Maybe this summer, maybe later on in 2025. We'll see. But that is the expected target for Bitcoin if it continues being bullish here. All right, let's look at the Root. The Root network. Let's see, USDT. Yeah, let's see what it looks like on Mexi Exchange. Yeah. Alright, so Root currently trading at 0.004 pennies. Looks like I already done some previous chart work. Oh wow, this thing is... What is going on here? Jesus, oh my god. I gotta zoom out just to see. Man, what is this nonsense? This thing obviously has seen better days back in February and March of 2024. We've seen this thing get up to like 12 cents, but what is this? You're making lower highs, lower lows. The trend is not your friend here. You are going down and to the right. That is the trend. This thing is, in my opinion, a great way to lose money and possibly an even better short, in my opinion. Because like, you're just making lower highs and lower lows and it's consistent. Like, you consistently can make money if you're shorting this thing. This thing looks like it wants to head to zero if it hasn't done it already. But very interesting enough, you know, I have some previous analysis here. This thing was in a downtrend, making lower lows. I think there might have been possibly, I mean, I'm gonna have to throw on the oscillators here. Maybe there could be some bullish divergence. Maybe that's why I have this previous chart work here. So you got lower lows on the price. It looks like there are possible higher lows here on the RSI, so maybe that's why I have this chart work here. So you do have the possibility of some bullish divergence for some reason. This thing is catching some bids right now. And when it did catch the bid here, looks like on June 2nd, this thing, wow, it went up like 71% on June 2nd for some crazy reason. You got, you know, a pretty long wick on the sells. You know, as soon as we came up to like almost 1 penny here, this thing decided to get sell off. Yeah, we came up to like 0.0096 pennies here, and this thing got beaten down. Somebody took profit here, and then you had a nasty red candle at down 33% on June 4th. But I mean, technically, you're making higher lows. At least right here, you're making the same low. This could possibly be a double bottom if it does decide to be bullish here. This is very interesting chart here. Let me throw on the moving averages, see what the moving average is looking like. Okay, so this kind of makes a little bit of sense. The 50-day moving average is acting as the bully now, and this is your resistance here. Get above that, and then you got the 100-day moving average, which could act as resistance at 0.008 pennies. And then, of course, the big daddy bully, the boss, the final boss is going to be the 200-day moving average, this red line. Currently sitting at 0.013 pennies. But I mean, if this thing does get up to 0.013 pennies, you're basically tripling your investment in the root. So I would be clicking the sell button if this thing does get up to that 200-day moving average. But very interesting. You could be catching the bottom, but geez, wow, what a crazy downward move this has been. The short sellers have been making money on this. Maybe things might be turning around and the longs and the bulls can actually start making money here. But wow, all I can say is wow, this thing is crazy. That's some crazy price action. This is how you would have lost money, but now I think this thing is starting to bottom out, so maybe there could be a potential long here on the Root network. All right, let's see. D2 Miami. Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you enjoying the analysis here. J Rock says it's gonna keep dipping. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but you know, you can strategically plan things out with a stop loss. If you're gonna be bullish on this thing, I put the stop loss right below these candle wicks lows here on June 9th here. 0.004 pennies. I'll put the stop loss right at 0.004 pennies, and you're not really risking that much, right? How much are you risking from where you are right now to 0.004? You're risking about 5%. Okay. I mean, it could come down there, stop you out, and then continue going up to higher prices. And And if you want to be more generous on your stop loss, you can put it right here at 0.0034 pennies, and you're risking about 19% on your stop loss. And if it comes down to that level, then you probably, I mean, yeah, it probably wants to go down to lower prices, and I would just continue shorting this thing instead of longing it. You're funny, Joe. You want to take a look at Fartcoin? Sure, why not? I normally don't get requests for Fartcoin. I appreciate that request. You're like the first person to request this coin on one of my live streams here. So yeah, let's take a look at Fartcoin. Oh, I have done some previous analysis on this. Okay. All right. Fartcoin. Oh yeah, I have looked at this one before, at least on this chart here. Fartcoin currently trading at $1.14. We're looking at the naked chart. Fartcoin has had a really good March and April where this thing was making higher lows, higher highs, trending upwards, and then, you know, looks like after Bitcoin topped out at $112,000, you know, this chart has been making lower highs and lower lows like most of these other altcoins, so that's a little bit disconcerting to see that. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Let me go ahead and turn on the oscillators here. Looks like the RSI is at 53 on the daily time frame here for Fartcoin, so it's in neutral territory. Could possibly be ready to go to higher prices. Looking at the MACD, you are starting to get a little bit of buying pressure here. So people are clicking the buy button on Fartcoin. You can see that you had that selling pressure here back in early June, and then some more selling pressure in here past week. But I like to see that we're getting some green candles here on the MACD. Let's continue seeing more green candles, and then maybe we might see Fartcoin go up to higher prices here. You do have a on here the market cipher B. You have a green dot. The green dot is a buy signal, saying that you should have been buying on June 24th here on Tuesday. But the thing about the green dot is there will be a red dot at some point, and when you see the red dot show up on market cipher B, that's probably going to be a good time to click the sell button on Fartcoin here. All right, let me go ahead and get rid of the moving averages for now. Let's do a Fibonacci retracement, see what the fib levels are doing for Fartcoin here. So, if Fartcoin continues being bullish here, I would expect maybe the 786 retracement to be a resistance level at $1.34. Get past that level, and then maybe we can revisit the highs here back in May when we saw Fartcoin at $1.64. Prove to us that you can actually stay above $1.64, and then you might see the 1618. You might see a $2.54 Fartcoin in the future here. Okay. However, if this thing is not going to be bullish, and we end up making, you know, this was the high here in May, and then the lower high here on June 11th here, and if this is just going to be another lower high, then yeah, we might have to go down to lower prices here. You got the 0.382. I think that needs to be respected at 75 cents, because that's where Fartcoin was trading at about a week ago. Was the low at 79 cents. If you can't get some bids to come in here at 75, 79 cents, then we might have to come down to this deep retracement. The 0.236 level says that, you know, Fartcoin might start getting some bids. There might be people clicking the buy button at 54 cents. However, that's like a 50% drop from where we are right now. Yeah, I don't know if I want to stick around for that. I would probably put my stop loss right at like 77 cents. Because I probably don't want to be involved in Fartcoin if it's going to go lower than that. Alright. Hope you enjoyed that analysis there, Joe. Joe is saying there's so much chop, it's crazy. And you're saying this market is just so trash, yeah. Yeah, Joe, I actually made money on Bitcoin last night, believe it or not. I was on Porky's Discord. I don't know if you're on Porky's Discord, but I actually posted up that I made I sold Bitcoin, a leverage trade on Bitcoin at $109,100 last night, and it was on a scam wick. It was like somebody clicked the buy button and took out a bunch of I guess stop losses on the short sellers, and I got filled. I don't know if I can, maybe I can show it to you guys here. I was trading on Coinbase exchange, and let me just look at the derivatives market here on Coinbase. There was like some scammy price action, but it was to my benefit. I actually made like, you know, 50 bucks last night off of the bullshit, to be honest. Let's look at the 5-minute chart here. Yeah, look at this, Joe. This was last night, right? I had a take profit target at $109,000 Bitcoin, and this scam wick came in at like 9:25 p.m. Eastern time here. It says that the volume, there was like 3,900 contracts that got traded, and I got filled. Look at this. But imagine if you had, you know, imagine if you're short selling Bitcoin and you had your stop loss over here. You got filled basically at my take profit. So I feel bad for whoever got stopped out like that. But I've had that same kind of BS happen to me earlier this week where I lost money on stupid scam wick candles like this. So I just take it as an apology from the exchange for having to deal with the BS that we dealt with. That was just like, hey, Damon, we're sorry for like the BS in the leverage trading market here. Here's 50 bucks for some of the losses you took earlier this week. So, but Bitcoin actually did catch some bids last night going into early this morning. We saw, you know, here on Coinbase exchange, we saw Bitcoin get up to $109,200 on the July contract. This is like the CME exchange. This is not Bitcoin perpetuals, which you're probably used to trading. This is contracts that expire. It says the contract expires here on July 25th, 2025 is when this contract expires on Bitcoin. And right now the price is currently trading at $108,200 for the Bitcoin futures here. Let's go back to Bitcoin on TradingView here, and you can see that Bitcoin is actually trading at $107,500 on the spot market. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff here. But yeah, I agree with you. It's been trash this past week. Let's see. Oh my god. So I have a request here for ZBCN from somebody else. Guerrero wants me to look at ZBCN. All right, I guess I'll do ZBCN since somebody else wants to look at it. Okay. ZBCN. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button. I appreciate all the likes you guys give me, especially if I'm going over your cryptocurrency and I'm giving you some good analysis here. I appreciate you hitting that like button for me here. Thank you. All right. I have done previous analysis on ZBCN, as you can already see. This thing is trading at 0.0034 pennies, down a little bit today, down almost 3%. And what is the analysis here? So I have done Fibonacci analysis on this already. We want to see ZBCN stay above 0.0032 pennies. Okay, for the most part. Looks like the candle wick low here on June 22nd. Right after the United States got involved in the Middle East, this thing got sent down to the lower realms here of about 0.0032 pennies. So this 0.236 level needs to be respected. If it doesn't, I wouldn't want to be in ZBCN because there might be something wrong with ZBCN. And if it does continue going lower, I do have a red line here at like 0.0028 pennies. And I believe that's because there's some previous price action. If I zoom out a little bit further, back here in April of 2024, if ZBCN can't hold this level, then the people that bought here in April of 2024, they're probably going to click the sell button as well and send this thing to lower prices. So right now, the people that bought ZBCN in April 2024, they're still in profit. But if they're losing their profits, they're going to be anxious to click the sell button as well. So I think hold 0.0028 pennies and you'll be fine on ZBCN. Lose that level and you're going to go to lower prices here. And I don't think you want to stick around for that because ZBCN has been at lower prices and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But going back to the current price action here on ZBCN, show us that you're able to climb up to higher prices here. And, you know, I would expect ZBCN to eventually get back to the golden pocket here at like 0.005 pennies. And then we'll see if it can get past that level and get to the 0.786 retracement at like 0.006 pennies. You see I already highlighted this from previous chart analysis. But yeah, I think that level is confluent with some of these candle body closes here on May of last month, you know, May 2025 here. And then get past 0.006 pennies, and then we'll just have to see how it handles itself at like 0.007 pennies, which is where the candlewick highs are coming in at on this asset back here in May of 2025 here. I think that should be your take profit target if you're day trading or swing trading this. But if you want to push this to higher prices, and if you're in it for the long haul, then the 1618 says that, you know, this thing could get up to a penny. And I would expect to be clicking the sell button if I was in this asset, because you're basically going to triple your money if it does get up to 1 penny. So that's my analysis there on ZBCN, your downside and upside targets. I'm curious, what does ZBCN do? I still need to do some research on it because I always get people that are asking me about it. What is ZBCN trying to accomplish? Does anybody have any insight on that coin? You guys keep requesting it, and now I'm getting a little bit curious. What the hell does it do? Maybe I can look at coinmarketcap.com. Let me do my shameless plug first. Guys, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and come join the Meet Damien community here on TikTok, where I'm trying to see if I can get up to 5,000 followers. I'm about 37 followers away from that number, but would be nice. You guys can come see some of my short form content here. I got my quick video analysis. I did a video here about Bitcoin. Got 500 views this weekend, and then a video here about Ethereum as well, getting up to like 700 views there. But yeah, you can see me here on TikTok, and yeah, that's my shameless plug there on TikTok. And let's take a look at CoinMarketCap, because I gotta find out what the hell does ZBCN do here. Whenever there's a coin that I don't know much about and I want to do some research, I go to coinmarketcap.com. It's a good website to do some research on these coins here. They have a nice way of displaying the prices of these coins and then what they've done in the last 24 hours and their market cap for these coins. You can see Bitcoin has about $2.1 trillion in it. Crazy. And then Ethereum has about $294 billion in it. But yeah, I usually go up to the search bar in CoinMarket and I'll type in ZBCN, and this is how I can learn more about it. So right now it's telling me that the market cap is about $292 million is in ZBEC network, and it's like, out of all the cryptocurrencies, it's like number 148 as far as market cap goes. So that's interesting information there. And then yeah, if I want to learn more about ZBEC, then I just click on the About section here, and it will take me and give me like a analysis, a summary about what it is. And this saying that ZBEC is a decentralized infrastructure network for real-world value flows. Founded in 2021, ZBEC has attracted $35 million in investments by Circle, Coinbase, Solana, Breyer, Republic, and Lightspeed venture partners. From its origins in continuous settlement protocols, ZBEC has consolidated multiple protocols and integrated a portfolio of blockchain-enabled real-world asset payments, payroll, and retail products into an interconnected and interoperable infrastructure. Alright, so this thing is dealing with trying to bring payroll and payment services to the blockchain. If that's the case, then this thing might have some potential in the future here. Looking at ZBEC over here, the statistics here, it says that it does have $292 million in market cap. Fully diluted value is at $345 million, so that leads me to believe that there's probably some tokens that still need to be unlocked. And if that's the case, then it probably needs the there's probably going to be some selling pressure for those token unlocks. Let's go ahead and click on token unlocks, and it should give me like the schedule here. Looks like there are some unlocks here. Looks like 81% of it has been unlocked, but you still got like another 12% of ZBEC that could still be sold on you in the future here. And then it tells you the allocation, like how the unlocks, who actually got the ZBEC token before it started trading on the open markets here. And it looks like 9% went to like some seed investors, another 11% went to some private investors here. And then the community and reward system got like 53% of the token unlocks. And then you get the unlock schedule. You got to unlock. Oh, Jesus, what is this? Yeah. So it looks like this is what the unlocks are doing here on ZBEC. Okay. You have July 15th. There's going to be about 2.12 billion. Is that correct? Yeah, 2.12 billion ZBEC coins that are going to get unlocked. So you might want to pay attention to this date in the future. It's only about less than 2 weeks from now. 2% of the maximum ZBEC supply is probably going to get dumped on the market. So just be on the lookout. You might want to sell before that happens, because there's a possibility that ZBEC could go down in price around this time. Possibility. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but if the investors that have already invested in this coin, if they click the sell button on you, don't be surprised if they start selling around the middle of July here. And then also you got another token unlock in August and September and October. But you can see that here on the unlocks, there's going to be less coins for them to sell in October and November later on this year. They're only going to be selling about 1 billion ZBEC coins here. Alright, so that's something to pay attention to. I see Melissa's in the chat. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you make it onto the live stream. Let me know if there's a asset, a crypto. We can also talk about stocks as well. Let me know if there's any particular asset you want me to take a look at. And let me see, what is what do we have here in my TikTok stream? My TikTok guys are talking about ZBEC. Yeah, it seems like ZBEC is going to be involved in payrolls here. So that's payrolls and credit cards. Okay, so then that means there might be some use case for this thing. This is a real-world asset, if that's the case. And if you want to get some ZBEC, it looks like it's trading on Mexi Exchange, BitGet, and OKX. Are those the only exchanges? I'm surprised this thing is not trading on Coinbase. Oh wait, is this thing trading on Coinbase? Let's take a look. Let me look at the trading view chart here. ZBCN USD. Yeah, very surprising. If this thing has Coinbase involvement, because Coinbase was one of the investors, but yet it's not trading on Coinbase. That's very interesting. I would expect this thing, if it does have promise and potential, I would expect it to trade on Coinbase at some point. And it might actually catch a lot of bids when it does get listed on Coinbase. So that keep that in mind. But yeah, ZBEC might be one worth getting into. Hopefully this 0.003 penny level holds. I think you might be catching the lows. This might just end up being a higher low, and then we might see higher prices for ZBEC. Pinky says you could get it on Uphold. That's interesting. All right. I want to take a look at a cryptocurrency myself here. Let's take a look at Sui and Aerodrome. Let's see what those coins are doing on the charts here. So we're looking at Sui now, currently trading at $2.80. Let me get rid of this previous chart analysis here. Sui, what are you doing, Sui? You know, we've seen Sui have some phenomenal price action towards the end of 2024 going into January 2025. We saw Sui at $5.35, and then it got beaten down like a lot of other altcoins. Bottom out here in April at like $1.71. Then we caught bids here in April and towards the beginning of May here, but this is looking like a lower high. And we've been in a brutal downtrend on Sui ever since then. Right? Let's see. If I connect the highs here, you know, Sui's in a descending channel. Kind of looking just like Solana too. Solana's in a descending channel as well. So if Sui just continues doing what it's been doing, it's probably going to get rejected towards the top of this channel here, probably at like $2.94, and then it comes down to lower prices again. Okay. But Sui could get out of this descending channel in two ways to the upside. It could just continue trading sideways at the current price that it's at right now. That would be one way to get out of it. A better way would just be catch some bids here and get above the previous lower high here at $3.56. I think if Sui is able to get up to $3.56 here, that would get people more excited about Sui. And then we could talk about maybe getting past the highs here in May when we saw $4.29 Sui. But I'm going to go ahead and do a Fibonacci analysis on Sui and see where this thing might possibly go if it continues catching some bids to the upside. So I already mentioned $3.50, right? That would be actually the golden pocket number here for Sui. There could be some more resistance at $3.83, whereas that would be the 786 retracement level here for Sui. But get above $4.30, and then we can start talking about maybe a $5 Sui all over again here. That's where the 1618 is saying that we could see a $5.73 Sui in the future here, maybe later on in 2025. All right. So that is the upside targets for Sui. Downside target, I mean, geez, if Sui does go down the low prices here, I don't want to see it do that, but I mean, you do have a candle wick low here at $2.29. You put a stop loss right below that. If Sui can't hold $2.27 here, then there's something wrong with Sui, and it's probably going to want to continue going down to lower prices. So that's your downside target on Sui. All right, let's take a look at Aerodrome, which I think has been doing a little bit better than Sui has. Hey John, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you coming in. And then Kevin over here is saying, buy Sui. Yeah, Sui's actually one of my bigger altcoin holdings, so very disconcerting to see it actually go down like that. But I think there's a lot of potential for Sui to go to higher prices, so I'm still in it. And I would be buying it if I had extra cash to be putting into Sui. But here is another cryptocurrency that that has some promising potential here. This is Aerodrome Finance, currently trading at 77 cents, up 2.68% today. And I've already done some previous analysis on Aerodrome using the Fibonacci tool here. Looks like the golden pocket is sitting at about right where we're at, 78 cents and 79 cents. So that's very interesting to see. If Aerodrome Finance is going to continue being bullish here, then there could be some resistance at 86 cents, which is where the 786 retracement's at. I believe we have a candlewick high at that level there on June 24th. Yeah. But if Aerodrome continues being bullish and it gets up to this 96-cent level here and gets past the $1 psychological level, there is a 1618 that says that we could see $1.27 on Aerodrome Finance, and then there's a 2618 that says we could see $1.75. I think those are your take profit targets going into the latter end of 2025 here. I would be trying to take profit at those levels there. Looks like that's roughly about a 50%. Let's see. Measuring from where we are right now to the 1618, that's about a 63% gain from where we're at right now. And then if we get up to the $1.75 level, you're gonna be doubling your money, and you'll be up about 126% on Aerodrome. Let me go ahead and turn the moving average to see what the moving average is doing. Okay, so this makes sense. The moving average is showing that the 200-day moving average, this red line, acted as resistance here earlier in June, and then acted as more resistance here on June 24th. So we are respecting the TA as far as moving averages go. Get above that 200-day moving average, and then I think it's going to be all systems go for higher prices on Aerodrome. But let's look at the downside for Aerodrome, right? If Aerodrome starts losing its momentum, and if we get rejected again on the 200-day moving average, then we could possibly come down to low prices here. I'm eyeballing this 0.236 retracement level at 59 cents. Looks like that's kind of like where the 100-day moving average is sitting at. So maybe we can get some support if we come down to that level. You got the 100-day moving average, and you also got the 0.236 retracement saying that there should be some buy orders. There should be some support at that 59-cent level. You got a couple of moving averages. You got the 50-day and the 100-day, which is probably going to start merging with each other soon here in the future, in the near future here. And I think 59 cents, if you're able to if you're bullish on Aerodrome and you're lucky enough to get filled at that price, I think 59, 60 cents is a good area to buy some relatively cheap Aerodrome. And then you can put your stop loss right below the 50-day moving average. Because if we go lower than 59 cents, there might be something wrong with Aerodrome, and yeah, it might just want to continue going to lower prices, and if that's the case. All right, let's see, what do I got here? Oh, Jose wants me to look at Palantir. That's the first stock request of the day. I can look at Palantir for you. Yeah, I actually have some Palantir stock as well. I think Palantir is going to have some good years ahead of it, with it being involved in AI and helping out the government catch the bad guys with their AI technology. I think there's going to be a lot of potential for Palantir to go to higher prices. Alright, so there we go. Palantir. Oh, yeah, there we go. Palantir Technologies on the NASDAQ. Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Palantir had a bad day on Friday here. This thing went down 9% on Friday. And I think that has to deal with Palantir is getting delisted off the Russell 2000 because it's no longer considered a small cap stock. And I think they might be getting listed on the S&P 500. So investment firms and mutual funds have to sell their Palantir stock because it's no longer going to be part of the Russell 2000. I think that's why you had this nasty red candle here. But this could just be a buying opportunity in my opinion. Let's zoom out and you'll see what I mean, why that might be a buying opportunity, because Palantir is currently trading at 130 bucks right now. Let me go ahead and get rid of this Fibonacci analysis, clean things up a little bit. But let's just zoom out. Look at this thing. It's just been up and to the right, printing money for whoever's been involved in it. Okay? Look at this. Back here in 2024, May of 2024, this thing was trading at like 21 bucks. And this thing has been going up and to the right. You have like a gap here. It looks like after the earnings report here on February 2025, this thing decided to gap up. The gap did get filled. And you've just been, you know, we had a bad March and April, and that was just a buying opportunity because look at this. This thing just continued climbing up and going to the right and climbing up and going to higher prices here. But if you're looking at Palantir right now, this 21 EMA, this white line, has usually been a good level to look at to buy Palantir, and Palantir has been very bullish because it normally does not go below the 21 day. It did go below the 21 day back here in April after we had, you know, the bad news about tariffs and Donald Trump putting tariffs on all those countries. And yeah, Palantir went down just like every other stock during that week, but then it bounced back hard and strong. If you're lucky enough to see Palantir come down to the 50-day moving average or even the 100-day moving average, which is this green and blue line, I would be a buyer of Palantir. Right now, 50-day moving average is sitting at $108. If you're lucky enough to get Palantir for 108 bucks, I would scoop some up at that level. And if you're even more luckier to get it at the 100-day moving average at $96, I would try to scoop up some Palantir at that level. Will we ever see Palantir actually come down to the 200-day? 200-day is sitting at 83 bucks. There would have to be something very wrong and bad with Palantir itself. I don't think, you know, the general stock market and the economy is going to bring this bad boy down, okay? I mean, maybe a recession could bring this down to the 200-day moving average, but if we have a recession, it's going to be bad for everything and everybody. But I think Palantir would just probably bounce back off the 200-day moving average and go to higher prices as soon as the economy does better again. Okay, and I don't even know if a recession could actually bring this thing down, because this thing is involved with the federal government, the FBI, the CIA, and they got government contracts, and those government contracts are going to still come in. The government is still going to need Palantir even during a recession. So I think this is a go-to stock to be involved in. I don't think this thing is ever going to get down to the 200-day movement. 200-day movement, look at this. This red line never gets touched. Never gets touched. It got touched. Well, last time it got touched, right? The 200-day moving average. We hit it back here on Monday, August 5th of 2024. And you know what? That was, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the markets, but I do. I mean, I shouldn't really say that. I'm pretty sure you guys do pay attention to the markets. But from what I can recall, that was during the Japanese carry trade crisis, okay? So all stocks, it wasn't just Palantir, but every stock I remember back on August 5th of 2024, they all went down in price. So that's the only thing that's going to actually bring Palantir down, okay? But that's just a buying opportunity, because look at this. As soon as it came down to the 200-day moving average, it bounced right back up the next day and continued on and going up to the right, up and to the right, up and to the right, up and to the right, just making money, hand over fist, okay? So if you see Palantir come to the 200-day moving average, that is just a buying opportunity in my opinion, okay? Come down to the 100-day moving average, another buying opportunity, okay? So I'm not sure what could stop this thing, to be honest. This thing's involved in artificial intelligence and government contracts. And now it's starting to get into some of the civilian industry, helping out some of the companies become better at tracking their data and their customers and where they're where the best place would be to put their resources to work. I see this company continue making more money, and yeah, it's a good one to be in my opinion. You bought Palantir at $24. Congratulations, Kling. That is a very good investment to be in. I'm glad you were able to make a good amount of money. Klang is asking me about ARB, ARB. Okay, we'll take a look at that. All right, let's take a look at the ARB. Is this a stock or a crypto you want me to look at? I believe it's a crypto. Arbitrum, right? Am I saying that right? I don't know. On Coinbase Exchange. It looks like it's on Coinbase Exchange. Thank you for the clarification there, Klang. So it is a crypto. All right. So here we have Arbitrum. Currently trading at 33 cents. Up 6.59% today. And let me just zoom out, see where Arbitrum has been. Might give me ideas like where it might go next. So obviously Arbitrum has had better days here. In February of 2024, this thing was almost like a $2 crypto. And looks like it made a significant lower high here in December when we had that little altcoin season going on. But this thing has been in a downtrend ever since then, making lower highs and lower lows. And I guess you're just looking to see, can you start making higher lows and higher highs, right? Because that would be the beginning of an uptrend for Arbitrum here, right? You kind of did that here in April, you know, making higher lows and higher highs, and then you got above some of the highs here in February of 2025. But you got rejected off this 100-day moving average. This 100-day moving average is acting as resistance right now for Arbitrum. And I'm expecting it to act as resistance again if we do get up there. Right now, to get above the 100-day moving average, you got to get above 37 cents. Get above 37 cents, actually use it as support rather than resistance, and then we can start talking about maybe seeing Arbitrum go to higher prices. And if it can get above 37 cents, then the next level it needs to get above is this 200-day moving average sitting at 47 cents. Get above the 200-day moving average, and then I could say, all right, we're back to being bullish again on Arbitrum. Okay. So that's just using some moving averages here. Let's see what the oscillators are doing here on this asset. I'm a little curious to see if there might be some bullish divergence on the daily time frame. Looks like you have a low here, an RSI low of like 27 on April 6th. And then you have another low here at 31, so you could count that as an uptrend on the RSI here. And then, you know, just going back down, looking at the prices here. Looks like, you know, here on April 7th, we got as low as 24 cents. And then here on June 22nd, we came to 25 cents. So technically, that's a higher low on the price. I can't really call it bullish divergence because it actually made a higher low on the price, and it also made a higher low on the RSI. But hey, you know what? Kudos to you for making higher lows. That's the beginning of creating a uptrend here. Okay, now we just got to see if this thing can get up, you know, and make higher highs, and let's get above the 200-day moving average, like I already said here. Okay, and then I guess another resistance level might be right over here in September 2024. We had some people buying Arbitrum at like 53.60 cents here. I think these people who might not be so convinced that Arbitrum's gonna go to higher prices, they're gonna probably click the sell button when this thing gets to like 55-60 cents here. And you probably should click the sell button too, because if you're buying Arbitrum right now at 33 cents and this thing gets up to 60 cents, you're basically doubling your money. You should sell something. Let me get rid of the moving averages now. And then just looking back here in December of 2024, you might have some more people clicking the sell button at 75 cents. Okay. But there's no guarantee that we're going to see Arbitrum go back to the prices that it was at in February of 2024. Okay. We might not ever get back to that level again. Okay. You're just going to have to trade the chart that's in front of you. And I would say if you get Arbitrum back up to like 60 cents, then you are doubling your money and you're doing all right. Let's go ahead and turn the VRVP, see what the VRVP has to say. And the VRVP, which is these green and red bars on the right, you have to value your high at $1.08. That could be a level where people might want to click the sell button on you. But get past $1.08 and $1.20, and the volume starts to drop off, and there's not that much resistance until like maybe $1.46. And that's about it. Like $1.46, you're basically gonna what? Double, quadruple your investment here in Arbitrum. Just something to keep in mind, okay? But as I start to zoom back in to the current price action here, let's see what the VRVP is gonna show here. Yeah. Looks like right now you got high volume node here at like 47 cents. So I think 47 cents, that should be your take profit target. And that's also where the 200-day moving average is sitting at. So 47 cents will be my first take profit target on Arbitrum. Okay. And then anything after that is just gravy. You're making even more money. All right, let's see. I've done almost like a 2-hour live stream here, guys. I think that's gonna be it for me today. I appreciate you guys coming on to the live stream. Don't forget to hit the follow button if you're new to the Meet Damien channel, and if you're new to my YouTube channel here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, we'll try to do another live stream. Maybe let's see. I got some things I need to do tomorrow. Probably tomorrow evening, maybe around like 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time is when I'll go live again. Okay. But yeah, thanks guys for coming into the live stream, and we'll just have to see what these assets are doing tomorrow. Let's see. I'm gonna take a look at Bitcoin real quick. Yeah, Bitcoin's just trading sideways. $107,500 Bitcoin. But yeah, hopefully we cast some bids here and Bitcoin can actually go to higher prices. I would like to see Bitcoin get to $110,000. And I think that's when the excitement starts to come back into the market here for the altcoins as well. All right, guys. Good luck trading and investing in whatever asset you decide to get into. That's going to be it for today. I'll see you on the next live stream. Take care.